Hey guys, Sally here. Hope you're having an amazing and fascinating day. I know I am. What do we have going on today? Well, we're still up in the Northeast at this point, and in fact, I'm about to tick off two new states in one day and two national park sites in one day, one in each state. Did you know that Vermont and New Hampshire each have only one national park site? And I gotta tell you, the one that I thought I was going to enjoy the most did not turn out to be the one that I actually enjoyed the most. So, as always, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking your time to watch my videos. Hope you enjoyed this one. Leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And, feel comfortable letting me know if there are any particular topics that you would like to see that aren't about travel. I try and do stuff that's, useful and might help you out in your travels. So let's roll the intro and get right into it. All right, so we're parked down over there, and we are heading for the national park. Come here. This is the Farm and Museum and Visitor Center, which is a separate paid admission of, I think it was $16 for seniors. I'm assuming that this is a fee-based national park site, but because I have an access pass, I don't have to pay. And it's kind of situated in the middle of Woodstock in town. So when I came through here, my confusion was, well, not in town, but not too far from being in town either. My confusion was I came across a bridge up that way and then came all the way down around here, finally figured out where to park. But the parking area is in the Billings Ranch and Museum site area for both units, even though that's run completely separately from the National Park Service site. So now we're going to figure out where to go and what we can see. I think the basic theme here is going to be the legacy of responsible farming over the course of 3 different families. And part of my goal, come on Kit, part of my goal is to visit at least one national park site in every state that I go to. So this was the one that was most convenient for Vermont. Forest Center Carriage Roads and Trails. Wonder how long the trails are. I guess we need to get a map to see first. And if this was the original driveway, I imagine it was kind of nasty to get down in the wintertime. Although I'm guessing the original driveway might have been way up there, because it's a fairly steep hill. Beautiful grounds though. Carriage Barn Visitor Center and Mansion Tours. And I kind of doubt that we're going to get to go on a mansion tour, because Kit's just not doing all that well with big groups of people right now. So here's the scoop as I have it at the moment. No tour is available today, which I was pretty sure was going to be true anyway. Can't go into the mansion without being on a tour, but you can go look at the gardens, so we're going to do that first. Kit already successfully completed his Bark Ranger program. I'm skipping Junior Ranger today because I got way too many things I'm already holding on to. So we're going to do the gardens up here. Then we're going to go back and drop stuff off at the rig. And then we're going to go hit up some of their hiking trails for a little bit. And this is the only national park unit in Vermont. Ooh, look at the pretty chimney stack. That's fancy. With the extra fancy brickwork on it. And I guess we should probably go this way. Go around the front of the mansion first. Of course, Kit's going around the back of me. What do you want to bet he's going to do something to make me have to carry a bag, too? I'm already carrying too much stuff, Kit. He really loves the grass. I don't know what he's going to do when we go back out west. Alright, so here's a portico, which I assume would have been the main entrance. We're going to spin around. Look at the pretty flowers. Come on down. Can you imagine hanging out on that porch though? That would be fun, wouldn't it? Tree at my window. Window tree, my sash is lowered when night comes on, but let there never be a curtain drawn between you and me. Vague dream head lifted out of the ground, and thing next most diffused to cloud. Not all your light tongues talking aloud could be profound. But tree, I have seen you taken and tossed. And if you have seen me when I slept, you have seen me when I was taken and swept, and all but lost. That day she put our heads together, fate had her imagination about her. Your head so much concerned with outer, mine with inner weather. Robert Frost. Quite the tree. Quite the house. With shutters that actually perform a function. They don't put shutters on houses anymore. They put fake shutter-like appendages next to the window like it's a part of a frame. But it's not. So, the purpose of this park really is to share the importance of conservation. So part of what happened, and let's see if I've got this right, I think in 1817, the Navy started choosing to cut hardwood for ships. And that was kind of the beginning of it. And then there was a bunch of sheep production, for lack of a better word. And when that stopped being a thing, hillsides started getting stripped for Quinket. He's busy sniffing. He's a busy sniffer. The hillside started getting stripped of the trees so that there could be crops grown and potash, and I forget what else they were doing. But basically, they were deforesting the land. And as a result, with nothing to hold the soil in place on the hillside. There were devastating floods and, mudslides and all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, look at this. I thought it was just this little cottage thing. But look, it goes back there quite a long ways. So the land was kind of devastated. And it became necessary to do something about it. So we've gone off on a tangent because we started off to see the gardens, but we're actually walking the Junior Ranger Loop now, which is pretty much straight uphill. And of course, I have no idea where it comes out. Well, I think this is just going to be a hike through the forest from what it looks like. So I think we're going to turn around and go back down, see if we can find the gardens. Okay, so we've got this lovely swimming pool here and a greenhouse. I think we might have found the gardens. Don't make me crazy, Kit. And a sundial, which I've never actually been able to figure out how they work. Let's walk through here. No swimming. Do not enter. But it is definitely pretty. Yeah. I mean, like, just this house and the pool would be absolutely awesome. Oh, except for the fact that, it gets cold up here. I can't imagine there's much of a season for swimming. I could be wrong. No placard for the statue. So we got a big hedge up there. Not sure what else is up there. I think this is probably about as far as they want you to go. Oh, somebody's been through here recently with their wet footprints on the stones. Now I'll put mine there too. Roses, blue flowers, got no idea what they are, bee balm, these are hybrid tea roses, these. It says autumn crocus, but I have a feeling that's for something growing out of the ground ultimately. This part in here looks a little more fulsome. So it's quite a nice layout in the 4 quadrants surrounding the fountain. There's our house again up there. And over here is our mansion. I mean, I'm kind of guessing that might have been a guest cottage. That's going to be my guess. We're going to continue on down this way. Kick it. Look at him with his little paw up, pretending he's taking his next step. That was cute. That was very cute. All this grass. It's a lot of grass. Bet he'd be really happy if I let him loose. But I'm not gonna. That would be inappropriate. Here's another view of the mansion. Quite the imposing structure. So basically we had 3 different families all involved in moving conservation forward in their own ways. So the Marsh family, the Billings, and Rockefeller. And here we are back around to the front where we started. Here we go into our second park of the day for our second state. This is Saint-Gaudens. Probably the incorrect pronunciation, but it's the one that I'm going with. And I found it quite fascinating. He was a guy, he was a sculptor, and I really didn't know anything about him before we got here. But during the 19th and early 20th centuries, he created over 150 works of art, including public monuments, portrait reliefs, medals, and coins. Recognized in his own day as the leading American sculptor, his work constitutes Gaudens' works are exhibited at this monument, including monuments such as the Shaw Memorial and designs for the 1907 $10 and $20 gold coins. Visitors can also enjoy guided tours, summer concerts, and nature trails. So part of what we really enjoyed about being here was the ability to be able to walk all over the grounds and see a number of these sculptures, many more than I would have imagined. Many people are unaware that the creation of a bronze sculpture is a team effort. And so basically what happens is the artist works in the studio to create the piece, but he's also assisted by others in mold making and in the casting process, which is then done at a foundry. And so he would have fully trained sculptors working beneath him, and then beneath them were specialists in lettering, animals, decorative motifs, and that kind of thing. And then at the bottom were the very young apprentices who supplied everybody else with clay or plaster, kept the tools clean, swept the studio, and all that kind of stuff. And when he came to America, Augustus continued to work in the same kind of fashion as he had learned in Europe. So, and as his own fortunes increased, he was also able to employ 15 to 20 people, each with a job to do. In Cornish, which is New Hampshire town that we're located in, the little studio was used by Saint-Gaudens, and the plaster worker Gailton Ardiston, I'm sure I'm butchering these names, guys. Assistants would then be invited to help as needed. In the big studio, and later the studio of the caryatids that replaced it, each assistant was provided with a separate working space. The higher ranking sculptors had studios, the others had areas to work on assignment. The house was built in about 18 the house was built in about 1800 as an inn in the federal style. Saint-Gaudens named the estate Aspet in honor of his father's birthplace in France. Many improvements were made to the house and beautiful gardens added to the landscape. The majestic tree in front of the house is a thornless honey locust that was planted in 1886. The family summered there from 1885 to 1897, and then year-round from 1900 until the sculptor's death in 1907. Augusta Homer Saint-Gaudens continued to summer here until her death in 1926. It was she who established the Saint-Gaudens Memorial as an historic foundation in 1919. And I think at this point I want to point out, her name was Augusta, his name was Augustus. That seems like it would be incredibly confusing to me, but there you go. So the house itself was really very, very cool. There were lots of things to be able to look at, um, preserved as it would have been when they were living there. This is the large studio separated from the house that we talked about earlier when we were talking about all the assistants and so forth. Really quite the undertaking. And here you can see they got it set as it would have been when it was being used for work. I was really quite taken at how interesting I found this, um, especially because I expected to find the earlier uh, historic site at the Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller to be more interesting, but I really was fascinated by this, and Kit and I spent probably 2.5, maybe three, about 2.5 hours wandering around the grounds and looking at everything there was to see. And there was quite a bit to see, as you can tell. The gardens were beautiful, the sculpture was interesting, the history was fascinating. Hope you enjoyed this video too. Gaudin continued to summer here until her death in 1926. It was she who established the Saint-Gaudens Memorial as an historic foundation in 1919. And I think at this point I want to point out her name was Augusta, his name was Augustus. That seems like it would be incredibly confusing to me, but there you go. So the house itself was really very, very cool. There were lots of things to be able to look at, um, preserved as it would have been when they were living there. This is the large studio separated from the house that we talked about earlier when we were talking about all the assistants and so forth. Really quite the undertaking. And here you can see they got it set as it would have been when it was being used for work. I was really quite taken at how interesting I found this, um, especially because I expected to find the earlier uh, historic site at the Marsh-Billings-Rockefeller to be more interesting, but I really was fascinated by this, and Kit and I spent probably 2.5, maybe three, about 2.5 hours wandering around the grounds and looking at everything there was to see. And there was quite a bit to see, as you can tell. The gardens were beautiful, the sculpture was interesting, the history was fascinating. Hope you enjoyed this video too.